Welcome back to College Football Live.
Miami Hurricanes, one of the most polarizing teams in the nation. Will they contend for the title or finish fourth in the ACC's Coastal? Seems like opinions are at both ends and everywhere in between. To get better acquainted, our Chris Fowler sat down with the head Cane, Randy Shannon.
Randy, I'm not sure who made your schedule, how much input you have, but it's not usually the kind of schedule you'd think coaches would make. You know, at Ohio State, the big showdown September 11, at Pittsburgh, at Clemson. These are tough games. You're going to learn a lot about your team in the first month, aren't you?
We will. We'll learn a lot about them, just like last year. You know, you tell the guys just to stay focused and go through the process of playing one game at a time. And I think a lot of things that happened last year, Chris, is really going to help us out for this upcoming season.
In what ways will the bowl loss help you out when you got to go to a place like Ohio State, for example, and take on a physical Big Ten team? That's the question a lot of us have about Miami. Speed, sure, but what about standing up to the kind of physical punishment that Ohio State will try to bring?
I think the biggest difference is that we've been here for like the last 3 years and all, and the growth of these young guys have really grown. And the more that you look at what we've accomplished the 3 years, it's going to tell a lot about this football team after that game against Ohio State.
What is the mantra to your team? Because people around the country really aren't sure what to make of it. You mentioned how many young guys you played the last couple of seasons. Is this the year you expect to see those dividends pay off and this program take a step up?
I think it is. I think the biggest thing that we've learned last year, Chris, is that we always talk about the word finish now. You know, we've done a good job by going 5, 7, and 9. But now it's time to finish. You know, going to games and finish strong in the conference and make sure we finish the games, taking one play at a time, one game at a time, and when things go bad, just stay focused to the process that you have to have. And I think through that process of those tough games last year, and especially the Bucs
has so many of the things you look for in a quarterback. Consistency, something he's still searching for a little bit, not able to play in the spring because of the thumb surgery. So tell fans how he's looking throwing the ball this summer. Back to normal?
You know what? You know, just watching him go through his footwork drills and doing typical things like that has really helped out, I think, that was the key to it. And by him throwing individual routes to the receivers, you know, he told me he felt really good. You know, the timing is always going to be off a little bit when we get back into camp, but that's the greatest thing about it. There's a lot more room for improvement for him and for the team. It's just more mental part of knowing what teams are trying to do. I think he really learned a lot from staying out this spring and watching a lot of film and watching what the defenses do has really helped him a lot.
Finishing is the motto. Starting tough is the way it's been at Miami. We wish you the best of luck in surviving that September gauntlet, Randy. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Chris. Take care.
Miami fans have been looking forward to this season ever since 2008. That year, Randy Shannon hauled in the #1 recruiting class in the country. This season, they're all juniors, including Ja'Cory Harris. But will the fans be disappointed? Will the record bear it out? Time for our hurricane forecast on Winners and Losers. Miami goes on the clock as we do our winners and losers. Brian Griese is here. He's brought the technology as well. The one thing about Miami, every time you look at their schedule, at least recently, you look and you go, wow, who is making it so tough for the Hurricanes? But how will this translate in terms of wins and losses?
Well, Randy Shannon gets a new 4-year contract, but your present, Randy, is the toughest schedule, I think, of any team in the country. Obviously not in the first week. I think Florida A&M is a win, but then you go on the road to Columbus, and I think the matchup is intriguing. Ja'Cory Harris versus Terrell Pryor. I think Miami defensively has plenty of speed to keep Terrell Pryor in the pocket, and Ja'Cory Harris ends up being the best quarterback on the field that day. I think they win in Columbus in a big way. Then they go on the road to Pitt. I think they're going to stop Dion Lewis with 9 guys up at the line of scrimmage, allow Brandon Harris to follow John Baldwin all over the field in man coverage. I think they have too much talent, and they beat Pittsburgh.
3-0, and now they go to Clemson. Clemson beat Miami last year in overtime. Will they get them 2 years in a row?
One of the most exciting games of the year last year. Kyle Parker throws a touchdown pass to win in overtime. I think it's going to be another thriller. This time I think Clemson gets another win, and Miami loses at Clemson. So they're 3-1. We're not doing bad. Florida State, I think Miami matches up well. Their defense against Christian Ponder. I think the athletes at Miami take over this football game. I think they win that game convincingly.
Oh.
Duke is not going to be an
That's a W.
issue.
Now we get to Carolina. You've told me before there will be a lot of NFL interest when this game is played because North Carolina has a bunch of guys on defense who are going to play in the league. Miami has a bunch of guys on both sides of the ball who will play in the league. Who's going to get the win?
Well, and North Carolina manhandled Miami a year ago in North Carolina, but I don't think they do it this year. I think Miami goes in and wins against North Carolina. Good defense. I don't think they have any trouble with Virginia, no trouble with Maryland. Georgia Tech is going to be an interesting game, a game that they have to win the ACC I think they do it. They go into Georgia Tech and do it. Wow. No Jonathan Dwyer. I think they'll be able to handle that offense.
So 9-1 at home, late November, South Florida. Here comes Frank Beamer and Virginia Tech.
Frank Beamer, it's the two teams, one with discipline, one with flying around making plays in Miami. Beamer ball, control the clock, keep it out of Ja'Cory Harris's hands. I think they lose to Virginia Tech. South Florida is going to be a win for them. 2 losses, not bad. 10-2 for Randy Shannon after a new contract.
10-2 with that schedule should get them into a BCS game. Incredible, 10 wins. Brian Griese feeling the Hurricanes a little bit this year.